Ladies and gents, all things covered, Patrick Peterson and Bryant McFadden. You guys know how we tend to roll. We don't just talk about, college football. We just don't talk about NFL football. We talk entertainment. We talk everything on here, hint the name, all things covered. And we have a treat for you guys today, especially if you're a part of HBCU universities, especially if you're a part of, good bands, hearing historic like bands, and just being a part of outstanding rivalries. When it comes to HBCUs, we've highlighted HBCUs. We've had Mel Blount on the show, went to Southern University. We had Aeneas Williams on the show, went to Southern University. So this is something that we've tapped in from time to time. And we have a treat for you guys right now, and especially if you're an alum of FAMU, Florida A&M. They're in Tallahassee, Florida. Our current guest right now is the Vice President and Director of Athletics at FAMU. Courtney Gosha is here joining me right now, all things covered. Courtney, thank you for joining me. How you doing?
I'm doing well, my man. Thank you guys for having us, and certainly excited to be here.
No doubt, no doubt. You have it's a big week in Tallahassee. It's a big week for FAMU. We will tap into those discussions in a few moments, but sports fans and college sports fans are familiar with the title athletic director. But can you break down what your role entails on a day-to-day basis?
Well, man, I probably got one of the best jobs in the country. I get the honor and privilege to run one of the premier athletic programs in the country, one with one of the most storied history of college athletics, in particular college football, being the number one publicly ranked HBCU. We're responsible for recruiting the best and brightest to get a degree and then compete at the highest levels of college athletics. And Florida A&M, again, has a storied history dating as far back as the 1940s with Jake Gaither, with having a premier football program and leading the way. But we're an institution of first. Althea Gibson was one of the minorities who really transformed tennis as we know it today. Mm-hmm. You think about legendary coaches like Jake Gaither and what they did, to change college football today. And the list goes on and on. Being the number one or the only HBCU to hold a 1AA national championship. And so I have a great job and I get to kind of keep the ship headed in the right direction.
And speaking of your great job, what type of career path does one usually take to get to your position?
That's a great question. And really, you can kind of pick your poison. I'm a political science degree, thought I was going to go to law school, but I fell in love with this thing called athletics. Mm-hmm. I cut my teeth as an equipment manager.
Really?
Yeah. So I was an equipment manager and
at FAM or at another university?
At Jacksonville State University. And kind of worked my way up. When it was time to graduate, they hired me full time and they put me in charge of, all the facilities. And so I ended up building a $47 million stadium there and spent a couple of years there and then moved on to Middle Tennessee State and, negotiated a couple of apparel deals and things like that and kind of blossomed into, a career path for me. And so wore a couple of different hats at Middle Tennessee as Associate AD, Chief Operating Officer, Associate AD at Miami. And then I got a phone call from the highest of Seven Hills in December of 19 and said, we want to get you to Tallahassee. And it's been a great honor and a great privilege to serve at the number one public HBCU in the country.
What was the selling point for you with FAM? They offered you the opportunity to be the AD. Clearly, based on the resume that you just expressed to us, you were more than qualified. But what was the final deciding factor for you, hearing what they were pitching to you to be able to feel comfortable in accepting this new role?
Well, several reasons. HBCUs have given people that look like me and you opportunities when other institutions wouldn't. And so for me, I'm the youngest Division I athletic director in the country. Florida A&M took a chance on a young kid from Birmingham, Alabama, and said, "Hey, we want you to lead us." And so, that's something we take personal. We've kind of had that chip on our shoulder. And so that's why a lot of people have been really surprised over the last 24 months, some of the great things that are happening with FAMU athletics, because we take it personal.
No question. And we're going to talk about some of the things you guys are doing, groundbreaking evolution type things, deals and marketing deals. And also when it comes to facilities, upgrading facilities. You say the youngest AD in HBCU history. How old are you?
No, not just the youngest youngest AD in HBCU, all of Division I college athletics.
Oh, so all
Yes.
together under the same umbrella. You're the youngest AD ever. How old are you?
I am 33, just turned 33 last week.
Wow. So with that being said, because of your age and not necessarily being with the group with the consensus, do you feel any added pressure knowing you're the youngest ever in the history of college athletics? Do you feel any added pressure?
Well, absolutely. Obviously, the institution took an opportunity on me. There's a lot of eyes on your leadership at this age. And you want to make sure that you're not just kind of walking through the door and closing it for others, that you're bringing other young leaders to the table, because the kids that we're recruiting today, the landscape that we're recruiting, it's a new day. And so, making sure that you have and create an environment that young people want to come and be a part of. And so there's a little bit of added pressure, but, as the young people say, we want all the smoke. We want all the smoke.
and talking about, recruits and players and things like that. What are some of the things, fam, that they're trying to do going forward when it comes to getting premier-like talent? From the high school ranks. I was once a 5-star, and I remember I had the coach. It wasn't the head coach from FAMU, but it was a position coach. He came down to my high school and he was like, I know I don't have a shot, but I just wanted to see you in person. And instantly when he said, I don't have a shot, I got turned off because I knew of FAMU growing up in South Florida. I know about FAMU, Bethune-Cookman. But when he said, I know I don't have a shot, it was like, well, if you don't believe that you can actually get me to really consider your university, I wouldn't dare come to your university and you be my coach or you be associated with me in my collegiate career. What are some of the things you guys are trying to put together now? Not just to target, the smaller star type prospects, but eventually try to get into the homes of some 4 stars or 3 stars or 5 stars.
Absolutely. Well, we've changed that philosophy. And what we tell all recruits here at Florida A&M prospects is that all of your dreams can come true here at Florida A&M, not only as a 5-star student athlete, but as a 5-star citizen in this community and in this country. At FAMU, a FAMU degree, we have people, who have made it to the NFL and NBA. But we've also have people who are the president of and CEO of Microsoft, the president of Converse, the mayor of Atlanta, just to name a few. And so we produce a holistic product. And if you really want that true experience, collegiate experience, where you're well-rounded, you're prepared for life, and compete at the highest levels in athletics, Florida A&M is the place to do it. Right now, and I'll use our current student athletes, Marquise Bell. He is one of the leading safeties in the country.
Yeah, he's gonna get drafted. He's gonna get drafted also.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so we can produce those products here. You're going to get a loving experience. Your professors know your name. Myself as the athletic director know your name. We know where you're from. We know what you're going through. And I've worked at institutions where you're just a number. And I think that we sell the fact that, hey, come here, you'll get the holistic experience. And facilities matter. 20 years ago, there was a bigger gap in facilities, but it wasn't really an emphasis on it. Kids today want to know, what my experience is going to look like. What's my locker room? How much gear am I going to have? Is it comparable with the big boys? And administratively, we've had that type of philosophy. We tell people all your dreams can come true here. We're serious about it. That's one of the reasons why we have the first ever LeBron James Nike deal.
How did that come about?
I think it's about believing in yourself. And, we are an institution of first, right? And so we went to Nike, we went to Adidas, we went to Under Armour. We said, okay, everybody wants to talk about they support Black Lives Matter and they want to, help support the minority community. Show me. Yeah. It's easy. And so Nike, they made the investment, and the investment to change lives, the investments to provide for these kids an experience that they get across the street at Florida State. We shouldn't be wearing last year's stuff. We should have the same thing they're wearing on Sundays. And so now we're providing that for our kids.
So Courtney, with what is in detail, what's the details of this deal, and how is LeBron associated? Like, what is there a certain amount of gears that each athlete get, or like what's the details of this deal, and how did LeBron become involved?
Absolutely. Well, a couple of details. LeBron had already kind of made it up in his mind that he wanted to partner with Florida A&M in some capacity. It's amazing just kind of how the stars aligned. The timing was great because we were in the middle of this really battle of social justice, social reform. The gear in itself, yes, most schools at our level have to pay for gear. In our contract, essentially, we don't. Nike provides that to us in a sponsorship package. But there's even a deeper level of financial commitment. They're supporting scholarship costs. One of the big things about HBCUs is a lot of our kids are Pell Grant recipients. They don't have the means to afford the entire college experience. And so a lot of our kids take longer to graduate or don't graduate at all or have balances when they leave. Now, through this Nike partnership, we're going to make sure that all of our student athletes are fully funded, that they can matriculate through. On top of that, you're going to see some heat that nobody else has in the country. So we're going to be wearing stuff that, hey, Duke can't get this. Michigan can't get this. And so this is a reason why, now we feel comfortable recruiting Mikey Williams or Bronny, right? Why not us? Because if they're going to be a one and done anyway, why not come play in the best HBCU basketball arena in the country, the only LeBron James school, the first and only LeBron James school, and be loved, be celebrated, not tolerated, and in an environment where you're not having to look over your shoulder, but you can compete at the highest levels, and your degree means something. Your degree's coming from one of the highest ranked institutions academically in the country. Florida A&M is ranked, we're the 104th university in the country academically. That's of all schools. And so you go look at that list of the thousands of universities and institutions, and we're a school that's in the top 104. Your degree means something. And, when students really start to look at that and compare it to some of these other institutions that they may consider taking their talents to, we want them to take a closer look at the whole experience. And so we're proud, and again, our alumni are Rattler proud, and our alumni are all over the place. We have 80,000 alumni who are active and who are doing things in the world, whether it's in the athletics world, if it's in Hollywood, as you can see. We're going to be hosting First Take here this week, and Stephen A. and Will Packer, who's one of our alum, Kevin Hart, who will be here to celebrate some of the great things that are happening on the highest of Seven Hills.
Yeah, and Taraji P. Henson.
Taraji P. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of other guests that we're not going to let that out of the bag.
You can't give us a little sneak peek. You can't give us.
Got to come to Tallahassee. Got to come to Tallahassee.
Okay, dope weekend. Talking about homecoming weekend. Yeah, it's gonna be a big time show. You got Kevin Hart, Stephen A. Taraji, Will Packer, and some other unexpected guests will be there on the campus at FAMU. Talking about Courtney being the first of first, another first. Why not us? FAMU football just started airing on ESPN Plus. How did that partnership and relationship with Chris Paul come about?
So really, our deputy athletic director, who worked at Wake Forest at the time, was actually, kind of had a personal relationship with Chris Paul and his brother CJ, just from their interaction at Wake Forest. And so as we talked about doing things that, the perception of what HBCUs are in these kids' eyes, we wanted to show them what it really is. The things that people don't get a chance to see. We wanted the world to experience FAMU in a different way. And so we put it out there. We said, hey, our brand is unique. Right now, there's an emphasis on this. And we want every recruit, every prospect, every parent to know what the real experience is like. There's a lot of false perceptions out there. There's a lot of false narratives out there that a HBCU degree won't take you where you need to go, or HBCUs don't compete at the highest levels. Our very first game this year was the same place that they played the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
It was the same place they played the national championship. And oh, by the way, we were on national TV, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so to change the narrative to say that, hey, you're going to get exposure coming to these places. As a matter of fact, you may be a diamond in the rough because you came here, and you're going to get more exposure than you may just being a number on a roster somewhere. Mm-hmm. And so we're really excited about the Why Not Us documentary. It's going to show how uniquely special our kids are, how uniquely special this HBCU is, and the HBCU experience in itself.
What was the student athlete's reaction to hearing about the show?
Man, we're fired up. You know, we our kids, we've told them, if you do your part, we're going to do our part as an administration. We have this thing called the family, and we have each other's backs. And so part of our deal with our student athletes, come to FAMU, go to class, get your degree, compete at the highest levels, and give your all. And from an administrative perspective, we're going to give our all. We're going to make sure that they have the resources to be successful, and we're going to make sure that they go the places that they envision to go. And so that's the agreement that we have. That's our recruiting pitch. It's simple. And so our kids were fired up to that point. We play it on national stage. You know, our student athletes having the opportunity to showcase their experience and their personal lives right here on the highest of Seven Hills. And so it's a unique opportunity. They've been phenomenal, and so grateful for Chris Paul and ESPN for really investing the time and energy to highlight our program.
Yo, so you talk about, we just mentioned LeBron James being associated with FAMU. Now you got another NBA legend and Chris Paul. And the unique thing about these two individuals, they have no personal ties to the university. Chris Paul went to Wake Forest. LeBron didn't go to school at all. They didn't go to college at all, but they wanted to be a part of FAMU. How appreciative are you in having individuals that probably never stepped foot on the campus of FAMU, but wanted to be involved with the university to some degree, especially when you look at how important they are to their respectable sport?
Well, you know, we're so grateful and appreciative because both of those individuals could have picked any institution, you know, could have invested their time and energy in so many other places. But I think what makes us significantly different is the fact that, you know, when you hear the story, when you hear the history, the rich tradition of excellence at this institution, it does something to you. It makes you want to be a part of it. It makes you want to be invested. And that's how I ended up here, just to be honest with you. And I think the more we tell our story, the more people want to jump in to the family. And it's contagious, as you can see this week, with all of the energy and all the people that are coming here to celebrate this great institution and its 134 years of legacy. And it means something. And so we're grateful to have LeBron and Chris Paul both be a part of FAMU athletics, rich tradition and our chapter for years to come.
Yeah. I was going to ask you, how long do you expect to have this relationship intact?
You know, again, I certainly think this relationship will far exceed my tenure here. I think that it's something, in particular with LeBron, he is truly vested in these young people. And, beyond the dollars, beyond just, posting a pair of PEs, he really is interested in some of the great things that are happening at this institution. And, I certainly look forward to future years of even expanding that partnership. And you never know, we're actively recruiting, so you never know what may happen. And, even in the world right now where you've got, Coach Prime coaching, college football, you never know. Bronny may, come cut his teeth and coach some basketball on the highest of Seven Hills. And so you never know.
Hey, I'll tell you this much. He's already associated. You talked about his son who will be eligible to participate in college athletics. I mean, that'd be a big time get. You can go get Bronny, bring him down to Tallahassee. I tell you this much. He'll enjoy Tallahassee.
Absolutely.
Is the ultimate spot to go to college at. No other city better. No other city better. So really, regardless of you on this side of the track or this side of the track, you will enjoy your college experience. And talking about, the gridiron, let's get to the gridiron. FAMU football currently 5-2, head into this week's big time matchup against Grambling. It's been a long time since Grambling and FAMU have faced off, if I'm not mistaken, especially there in Tallahassee. 21 years. I knew it was a long, long time. What is the significance of this rivalry and getting it back going again?
It's huge. There is no other HBCU perennial brands with more football history and pedigree than Florida A&M and Grambling. Mm-hmm. So you are bringing two iconic brands together to clash. You're bringing the bands. If you think the football rivalry is something, you wait till those bands kind of go at it. But, again, just the history and lineage that comes along with that. It's homecoming for us. We don't want to lose a homecoming. Bragg Memorial Stadium is a hostile place to play. And so, we look forward to the fanfare, Grambling coming to town. And again, this is our inaugural year in the SWAC. And so we're really excited about it. But this is a big time matchup. This is big time. And to be able to host this game this time of year here in Tallahassee, if you don't have a ticket, you may not get one by now. But, this one's going to be one for the ages.
Speaking of the bands, what role do the bands play in addition to the football players in the tradition of HBCUs? I know personally, but there might be a lot of our listeners and viewers that are tuning in, checking us out on YouTube, might not know exactly why are bands so big when it comes to HBCUs. Can you please inform them, about that tradition with bands in HBCU play?
Absolutely. Well, bands, again, the significance of the marching 100 in particular, we talked about being institutions of first. So all these bands, the Ohio State band and Michigan's band and all the other HBCUs really learn that style from Dr. Foster and the marching 100.
Yeah.
And so our legacy beyond just the gridiron, even with our band, we perform Super Bowls, we perform for presidents, and just the pageantry and the excitement, the energy that they can really infuse into a football stadium is like none other.
No question.
And I've worked at Power 5 institutions and mid-majors. There's nothing like an HBCU band, but in particular the Marching 100. When you hear them roaring into the stadium and doing the rally cries and all of those type things that make it special. And so, our guests are in for a treat. We have two bands. We've got the Marching 100 and Grambling's band here. And so we'll have a great halftime, but the fifth quarter after the game, it's going to get a little fierce.
And could you elaborate more on the fifth quarter? What is the fifth quarter?
Absolutely. So most fans, after the game's won, they leave, and but we have this thing called the fifth quarter where both bands kind of have this battle of the bands and go back and forth, and people stay in the stadium and they want to see it, and it is a spectacle in itself. But the musicianship and pageantry that these students portray, I'll never forget our first game against Jackson State. Our band did a performance. It was actually LeBron James dunking the basketball, in the execution. I mean, it was flawless while still playing. It's unmatched. It's unmatched. So that's what makes the HBCU experience a little bit different.
So do you believe Grambling's band have a chance in the fifth quarter?
No chance. No chance.
Yeah, no doubt. And speaking of Jackson State, you guys played against Jackson State there at Hard Rock Stadium week 1 in Miami. Unfortunately, it was a loss. But talking about Deion Sanders, went to Florida State University across the track. What has his presence done to elevate HBCUs?
Well, I think, I think Deion's, persona and image and just celebrity status has really required a lot of people to take a deeper look, at HBCUs and kind of what's happening there. I think it's brought a lot of exposure that quite frankly, the game, the industry, HBCU athletics in particular needed. There's always been great products here. I mean, there's some significantly good coaches at HBCUs, ours in particular, Willie Simmons. And I think with Prime competing in the league has, opened up other eyes to say, wait a minute, these guys are really good at what they're doing, or these programs are really good, or better yet, HBCUs draw. I know everybody was excited. Jackson State had 55,000 people at their homecoming. Well, for the past 30 years, Florida A&M's had 70, 80,000 at some of our games against some of our rivals. So it's not a new phenomenon, but I do think his celebrity status has really expanded, I think, people's perception. And, quite frankly, these things are happening and have been happening at HBCUs for a long time.
And what can be done to further highlight HBCU at the NFL level so more players can have a chance to get drafted or join NFL teams?
I think exposure matters. The more we can get people like yourself to talk about HBCUs and the Marquise Bells of the world and highlight them in series like Why Not Us? Because, again, these students have always been at our institutions, but to some degree, they haven't had the exposure to get the NFL teams to come look at them, or they haven't been on a national stage to compete on TV to get the eyes. And so for the most part, I think continuing to elevate the fact that, we have top talent at HBCUs. You may not have an entire roster of 5 stars, but you've got some diamonds in the rough or some 3 stars that may not have gotten, recruited by a coach because of turnover or all those type of things. And I'll use Kevin Byard, who's one of the leading safeties in the NFL right now.
Tennessee Titans.
He was one of my student athletes at Middle Tennessee State University.
Yep.
Our football coach, Willie Simmons, recruited him. And he was a kid that the SEC schools dropped him at the last minute. He went to Middle Tennessee State. And he is lighting the NFL on fire right now. But a kid that fell below the radar that was certainly worthy of an opportunity and just needed a little bit of exposure. And so HBCUs are certainly in those categories. And, I think it's great.
Talking about the exposure, I know you talked about, some of the things you guys are doing on campus, speaking of athletics, but you also planning on doing adding some things to the football stadium. Can you elaborate on some of the future plans to the football stadium there on campus?
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of people don't know this, but,
breaking news.
Yeah, no, it's not breaking. It's not breaking, but it's a fun fact. Our football stadium was going to be condemned. Like my first week on the job, I got a folder saying, hey, we're going to shut this thing down unless you guys really do something about it. And it goes back to, HBCUs and exposure and supporting them the right way. So our kids weren't going to have a place to play. And so we were able to work with our county and government, and we got a $10 million grant to renovate Bragg Memorial Stadium. Nothing had been done to the stadium in over 50 years. And so we had a lot of life safety issues and things that we had to do. And so we completed phase 1 of the renovation this summer. We're going to be completing the next phase after this season, but that's why it's important to support these HBCUs. We've got to continue to create access and opportunities for these young people to perform, to have the resources just like they have at Florida State or any other institution across the country, that even gives these kids just a shot just to compete at the highest levels.
I got you. That should be dope when everything is finalized. And I know the players would love that. And you already talked about the gymnasium, some of the things you have done to the basketball gym there. Individually, when you talk about your role and what you've done and what you plan on doing for FAMU in totality, what would the next 5 to 10 years of HBCUs and the SWAC look like in your opinion?
It's interesting. I'd love to see a Southwestern Athletic Conference that's competing at the FBS level. You talked about exposure and what do we need to do to get our kids more? Okay, there's 70 bowl games. But there's only one for HBCUs, which is the Celebration Bowl, right? Yeah. I'm not cool with that. I think that we need more. I think that fans and the world would love to see a Florida A&M and a Jackson State play in a bowl game in a major city versus, New Mexico State versus, Joe Blow, and that nobody's going to come see in Albuquerque, New Mexico, right? And so HBCUs have led attendance. Our people draw, put us in an opportunity where we can create more exposure for our kids and play on New Year's Day and, all of those type of things. And so we're not going to solve the problem all today, but I think 4 to 5 years from now in the SWAC, I think our conference has the ability and capacity to be playing ball at the FBS level.
No doubt.
And so that's kind of what my vision for Florida A&M athletics in the Southwestern Conference will look like.
That's super dope. I agree with you when it comes to, seeing certain things in bowl season where you're not really as entertained or hyped about it. Definitely should be able to implement some HBCU teams that are worthy of being on that level and getting that opportunity. And there are quite a few teams along with players. You guys got one of the best safeties in the SWAC, in the MEAC, in my opinion. I really love watching him play, and I think he's going to get drafted on Sunday. Will be your first legit homecoming, because last year, because of COVID, didn't really get a chance to tap off and really enjoy yourself. How excited are you about this upcoming week and weekend of activities, and what special activities do you have planned? I know usually when I was there and going to Florida State, you used to have a concert. Of course, people used to be hanging out, different activities, comedy show, the whole works. But what do you guys have planned special? You talked about First Take being there on Friday, but do you have any other activities that folks should be excited about?
Man, it's crazy. Even me, I'm kind of like, okay, what am I going to next? But we've kicked the week off with some really, really unique events. We had a housing step show, our SGA coronation, all those type things are going. People are flowing into town. You're starting to see the traffic pick up a little bit. Mm-hmm. Vendors are setting up along, around the stadium. And so that fanfare, that pageantry is starting to pick up. Alumni are coming to town. There are a million events going on, with the Alumni Association, with student government. We have concerts, Lil Baby, and the list goes on. To your point, Will Packer is opening an amphitheater here on campus, bringing in some of his celebrity friends. Kevin Hart, Roy Wood Jr. is our convocation speaker. Taraji P, Stephen A. I think Anthony Hamilton's making a sighting this weekend, and then a couple of other guests that we're just going to let Rattler Nation just be surprised about. So this is kind of where it's going to be this weekend, and all eyes are on us. Obviously, a lot of national exposure, but being the number one public HBCU, there's an expectation too, and we believe that all tides rise together, because if we can show just how special these jewels of America's backbone really are to the country, that people will invest in them, people will support them even more. And so that's really what this homecoming celebration and this epic return, because we didn't have it last year. So really you got 2 homecomings in one. You got 2 freshman class in one.
No question.
And so we're hoping fundraising and all of that is really big, because there's a lot of pent up aggression from missing it last year.
Hey, Courtney, is the set still jumping on Friday?
The set is off the chain. The set's been off the chain every day this week, but Friday it will certainly go up.
Look here, man, when I was at Florida State, oh my goodness, we used to wear our best outfit on Fridays to make sure we go to that set. And
no doubt.
No question. That set is, listen, for my listeners and viewers, if you've never been to FAMU, please go check out the set. Oh my God. You talk about step shows, you got vendors. I mean, it's like an outdoor party. It's like an outdoor party on Friday, man, fresh out of class. And you right there, man, just chilling. I know it's going to be jumping the entire week, man. Courtney, man, number one, thank you for joining me here. All things covered, highlighting the university, highlighting athletics, academics as well. Some of the things you guys have going on in the near future. Being the first is a big monumental achievement. And number one, you being the youngest AD in college athletics. I didn't know that. That was groundbreaking for me. And I applaud you in your role in the job you've done so far and the job that you will continue to do in the near future. Take care of business against Grambling on the football field and in the 5th quarter with this in the stands with the bands. And enjoy your entire week, man. And once again, thank you for joining me here. All things covered. Courtney Goshard joining me. AD, FAMU. Football, homecoming, Grambling this weekend. If you're in Tallahassee, if you're nearby, go ahead and check it out. You're going to eat good. You're going to party good. You're going to watch good football. You're going to watch 2 good bands. Go at it toe-to-toe.
No doubt. Appreciate it. Thank you for having me on, Brian.